Hi, welcome to the 5th episode of the New England Gal Knits podcast. I am Janet and I live in Massachusetts with my husband, our 2 boys, our cat, and our dog. You can find me on Ravelry and Instagram at the New England Gal. If you're a returning viewer, welcome back. And if you're a new viewer, thank you so much for checking out the podcast. So today is Wednesday, November 22nd, so it is the day before Thanksgiving. And I've mentioned before, Thanksgiving is my favorite holiday. I love getting together with family, eating good food, and it is the start of the holiday season. And I love that anticipation of Christmas and the start of it. And as you can probably see in my background, I do have a Christmas wreath up already. It is the only Christmas decoration I have up. My husband's one that we need to wait until after Thanksgiving to decorate for Christmas. I'd probably have it up at the beginning of November if that was my choice. Unfortunately, he likes to hold off, and the only reason I got away with the wreath early is because my oldest son had a fundraiser with the Boy Scouts, and for a Christmas reason, they came in last night, so I this morning got up early and hung these up, so he'll have to deal with them up an extra 2 days. And then the day after Thanksgiving is normally when we go to our Christmas tree farm that's local to us and pick out our Christmas tree and get that up. So I just can't wait. It is going to be a nice, relaxing, long weekend. I did take today off so I can sit back and relax and not have to worry with all the traffic driving home. Wednesday before Thanksgiving is one of the most traveled days of the year here in the United States, and my husband commutes from Boston out to the Worcester area in Massachusetts. It's normally about a 45-minute drive. It'll probably, in the past, has taken him about 2 hours to get home from work the day before Thanksgiving, so we'll see what time he gets home. So anyways, I do have a couple finished objects to show you, and actually before I forget, I did get a couple pictures of me wearing the Angelina pullover as well as Veronica. So I'm going to go ahead, I'm going to add those in at the end of the podcast so you can see them on. But let me start with my first finished object. So this is the Half Moon Oracle by Kristin Lehrer of Woolen Vine Yarns and the Yarngasm podcast. So I knit this out of Primrose Yarn Company in their Galaxy colorway. And there's quite a bit of the colors left over, so I'm thinking I love the combination of colors so much these may have to become Jelly Roll socks. So then their purple is Anzula Squishy in their Fiona colorway. And then the last color is Cascade Heritage, and that is in the Citron colorway. So I love this shawl so much. So it was fast to knit. The pattern, I cannot say enough wonderful things about this pattern. The layout was perfect. Everything was spelled out for you. It was easy to follow. It was well written. It was just wonderful. This will not be my last one. I'm already trying to think of what yarn I want to knit next with this. Thinking maybe trying to get a hold of some Woolen Vine yarn to be able to knit it. I'm even tempted to give the full Oracle shawl a try. Again, I'm a little intimidated by the sheer size of the full Oracle shawl. I'm also nervous about there's a lot of yarn chicken that can be played with the Oracle shawl, and I hate playing yarn chicken. I like to know that I have plenty left over, but I love this shawl. So let me see how well I can get this here for you. So everything about this shawl, and it was fast to knit. It was broken up that you know, once you were starting to get a little sick of the brioche, it was on to the lace pattern, and then just when you were like, oh, I'm done with the lace, it was time for the brioche again. It was just a pleasure to knit, and it knit up very quickly. I really did enjoy it. The I-cord bind off took a little while, but it was so worth it. I do have to reblock it and make sure these points are a little more defined. So when I blocked it originally, I didn't have enough blocking mats, and then I'm trying to pin it into the rug downstairs, and it just wasn't very successful. So I do need to get more blocking mats, and in a couple months I'll go ahead and reblock it and make sure the points are well defined. But I love it. My husband surprised me. We're going to go see the Nutcracker on Saturday, so I'm extremely excited, but I'm going to wear this, so I got it done in perfect time. I'm not going to put it back on just because I don't want to fiddle and I can't see myself in the camera to make sure I got it on correctly, so I'm just going to leave it off, but absolutely love knitting this. And then the second finished object that I have are the Paige mitts, and these are by Melinda Bernardi and for Swan Island. It's not perfect, especially the thumbs on both of them aren't the greatest. You can see where I picked up the stitches on the thumbs, but I love them. They're going to be super warm, they're nice and thick, and yeah, practice makes perfect. So I really enjoyed knitting these, and these were knit out of, and I have some left here. So this is a Swan Island Sport, the 100% Rambouillet wool, and I did it in the Ecru colorway and the Blackberry colorway. And I loved knitting color work. So I've been trying to decide. I want to definitely give color work another try. So I'm trying to decide what pattern I want to do next. I really want to knit the Sunset Highway pullover by, I think it's Caitlin Hunter. I don't know if that's too ambitious for someone who's just starting with some color work, but I'm very tempted to cast that on and give it a go. And that is it for my finished objects. So on to my works in progress, and I have quite a few. I had quite a few last time and was kind of complaining about how many I had on the needles, and then I went and as soon as I cast off these two, I cast on 2 more. So let me start with talking about the ones I had already talked about in the last podcast and the progress I made. So I do have a half finished object. So I've been working on a pair of vanilla socks, and here's the half finished object. These are knit out of laying yarn in the Jarwoll Magic yarn, and it's color 7233. So I have this one done, and I love the way it's looking, and I tried it on. It fits perfectly, and it is going to be super warm and cozy, which is just what we need for the winters here in New England. So, and I have started on the second sock, and they're not gonna match perfectly, but that's okay. I'm okay with that. So I'm just starting the purple. I just got through with the rib, and now I'm just knitting in the round. And like I've said before, I prefer the ChowGoo 9-inch circular needles, and these are a US one, which is I think a 2.25 millimeter needle. And I prefer knitting all my socks on 9-inch circular needles. The Paige mitts were also knit on 9-inch circular needles as well, and I do enjoy just knitting in the round. And I love magic loop, and I'll use magic loop as well, but sometimes it can be fiddly, especially with pulling the needles and the wires through, and this I can just sit and knit non-stop. So that is my first work in progress, and this is my bus stop knitting, and it is in my Jezebel bee bag. Like I said before, this is just perfect. I stand at the bus stop, which happens to be the end of our driveway, and I just knit away while waiting for the bus, which works out perfectly, and I get a lot done, and I feel very productive. All right, and then my second sock that I'm working on, and I showed this again in my last podcast, and this is being knit out of the yarn jar in the Christmas Grouch colorway. This is her 2080, and see, I'm on magic loop right now, but I'm on the toes. I don't have much more to go on this one, but I am loving the way this is looking. So, and then for the heels and toes, I'm doing, here it is, this is a red, it's Cranberry, and it's by BU Fibers, and it's BE and then EWE Fibers on Etsy. So it's not a perfect match. I think red's one of those colors that's difficult to match because red can vary so much. It can be more blue toned, more orange toned, but I think it works out pretty well. So I'm very, very happy with the way it's turning out and looking. So I should be done this shortly. I'm hoping with this weekend, I have a nice long weekend. I took today off from work, and then I also have the Monday off after the Monday off after Thanksgiving. So I have a nice long weekend, so I'm hoping to get these socks done so I can get the socks that I want to knit for my boys for Christmas on the needles. So that's it for my socks. I also worked some on the mittens I talked about last time that I'm knitting for my mom for Christmas. So I was knitting these last Saturday night, and I had stopped because it was time to make dinner. I am so close. So seriously, who stops when they have this much of the thumb left to knit? I literally have maybe 2 to 3 more rounds before I'm done knitting these mittens. And these mittens are the Woodstack mittens by Jane Richmond, and this is from her within book that she did with Shannon Cook. These are wonderful. I love these mittens. I love how quickly they're knitting up. The pattern is super easy. I don't have to really refer to the pattern anymore to remember what to do, which is great. And I'm knitting this out of wool of the Andes that I had dyed up myself, and this was one of the first ones I've ever dyed up. My mother was helping me, and I didn't like the way it had turned out, and she loved it. So I said I'd knit her a pair of mittens, and it's been 2 years, which is why I definitely need to get these done before Christmas for her, because she's been waiting 2 years, which is just too long to wait for a pair of mittens. So hopefully after I'm finished podcasting, I'm going to sit down and finish this thumb and get it off the needle so I can start the next mitten. This is pathetic. So that is it. The other 2 works in progresses I just cast on. Like I said, I cast 2 off, and I was complaining last time I had too many works in progress, yet I went and I casted 2 more on. So the first one I cast on is the Reyna shawl, and I can't remember who it's by. I'll put it down below, but I am knitting this here. I don't have much done of it yet, and it's at an awkward stage here, but I'm knitting this out of Moonstone Dyeworks in her Haunted colorway, and this is on her Stellina sock base, and it's this beautiful gray, and it's got black and green and orange and hot pink speckles in it. And you probably can't really see the Stellina in it. I believe it is gold Stellina. But I had purchased this thinking I was going to make myself a pair of Halloween socks in it. It's one of her Halloween colorways. And then I got it and I just knew it was just too beautiful to be a pair of socks that no one's really going to see with my shoes on it. So I've been looking and scouring Ravelry for one skein shawls and love the triangular shawl, and this one looks like it'll be a nice size to be able to wrap up in. So I'm excited to get this done and work on this, and I am really enjoying it. I have to say, kind of fell out of love with knitting shawls a few years ago, and I'm trying to think now. The Half Moon Oracle is just, it brought back that love. It was just perfect. The perfect shawl to knit when I wasn't feeling like shawl knitting was something I enjoyed doing. It really did bring back that love. So I'm happy to be back in that mode. And I'm hoping to get this shawl done and off the needles for Christmas time. My last work in progress is the Quill hat by Andrea Mowry, and here's a picture of it. So I am using the leftover yarn from my Angelina pullover, which is the Fibre Company Cumbria in the Dirt Wet Water colorway. And I've only just begun on it, so I'm only about an inch into the ribbing, and I have about another inch to go on it before I can start the pattern on the hat. This is my nighttime knitting right now, so my younger son and I have been listening again to the Harry Potter books, and we just started listening to The Sorcerer's Stone again. So at night, our routine has become to listen for about a half an hour of the Harry Potter audiobooks, and this is what I've been knitting on the last few times. So hopefully I'll get through the ribbing. It always seems to take so long to get the ribbing of a hat done, and then once that ribbing is done, it seems like the rest flies right off the needle. So I just have to make it through another inch, and then I can get to the point where it really moves much faster, at least for me. Does anyone else feel that way about ribbing? That is all my works in progress, which is enough. I certainly have enough to keep me busy for a while. So I did the last few weeks do a little bit of online shopping, so not too bad, but I wanted to share a couple of the things that I did, or all of the things I did get. It hasn't been that much. So the first items I bought were fur pom-poms. So I was watching, I think it was the Grocery Girl podcasts, and they were talking about Fabu Knits. I think it's, yep, Fabu Knits. And here's her card, and she has an Etsy shop, and it's Fabu, and it's 3 Fs to start it. And she has the most adorable little fur pom-pom. So I picked up a gray one. I shake it because it makes it all nice and fluffy. So I picked up a white one with gray tips. I picked up a black one. And I picked up, I don't remember, then this is more gray. I love this one. It is so nice and fluffy. Absolutely love this one. And then I picked up a tan one as well. And these were such a great price. These are her 4-inch ones. I think they come in 4 sizes. So this is the second smallest size. I think it's 3-inch, 4 inches. And then I think 5 and 6, but I'm not quite sure about the 2 larger sizes. But they were really well priced. The 4 of them were only $15, which I think is a great price for the faux fur pom-poms, and that includes the shipping here in the United States. So I'm so happy with that, and I'm thinking of this one being put onto the top of my quill hat. I think with the blue, where did the quill hat go? Here. I think that'll look nice with the blue. So, and then I have to knit some more hats so I can put these pom-poms on. And then I did pick up a couple skeins of yarn. So the first one I bought was Skeiny Dipping, and this is in her vintage colorway, and this is worsted. So this will be a hat, and it'll probably end up with this pom-pom on it. So I haven't quite decided the pattern yet. At first I was thinking the quill, but I've already cast that on, so I need to think of another pattern to knit with this. And then the last two things I purchased were a couple skeins of yarn from Legacy Fibre Arts. So the first one here, this is Willy Wonka, and this is in their Cozy Toes, which is an 80-10-10 merino cashmere nylon. And this is, I fell in love with this. I love the hot pink and the purple and orange. So these I've decided are going to be my birthday socks. So because, you know, everyone needs a pair of cashmere socks, a little bit of luxury, I figure, for my birthday. So my birthday's in the beginning of February, so I figure these are going to be my Christmas Eve cast on. So I will hopefully have them in time for the beginning of February, but I'm looking forward to sitting down on Christmas Eve and casting these on. My husband and I have a tradition that we sit down and we watch after the boys go to bed the George C. Scott version of A Christmas Carol. That one's my absolute favorite. So I'm looking forward to getting these on the needles on Christmas Eve and hunkering down with the Christmas tree lights on and enjoying knitting those. And the other skein that I purchased, this is the Golden Tickets, and this is on their Glitzy Toes, which is a 75% superwash merino, 20% nylon, and 5% gold Stellina. And I don't know if you can see the sparkles. This is a beautiful. So I was watching the latest podcast of Legacy Knits, and Sue had this colorway knit up, and I saw it and I'm like, I don't know what it's going to be, but I need that yarn. It was beautiful. So I went to their shop and I was surprised that they still had some of it left. So I did grab a skein, so I'll figure out what it is, but I'm just so happy to have this, and it is beautiful gray and yellow, and that gold sparkle, it's amazing. So that is it for what I've purchased, although I have some dream knitting, and I know within the next week I'm going to be purchasing yarn for a sweater. So I received the latest issue of the Interweave Knits magazine, and this is their winter 2018. So anyways, paging through this, there's two sweaters that I know I'm going to need to knit, and this is the one I think I'm going to buy the yarn for. I don't know, maybe if I back up, hopefully that's in picture. So this is the one though that within the next few weeks I'm going to go ahead and buy the yarn for that and cast it on. And this is the Klondike Pullover by Mary Ann Benedetto. And then the other one that I really want to cast on as well is this one. And this one is the Mount Lauren Pullover by Andrea Cull. And this one actually is knit out of the Fibre company Cumbria. And I love that yarn, so I'm looking forward to working with that again, but I think I'm going to do the Klondike sweater first. And that's out of Lopi. It's not Let Lopi, it's the bulky one, and honestly I can't pronounce the name of it, but I'll link it below in the show notes. So that is it for the knitting. So the last few weeks, we haven't done a whole lot. I did get a chance to go hiking with my younger son at Douglas State Park, which is in central Massachusetts, and it was absolutely beautiful. It was 2 Sundays ago, and surprisingly enough, it was very warm out. It was probably in the 40s and sunny out, and it was the perfect day to go for the hike. And it was beautiful. I had never been to that park before, a hike there. And there were parts where you would be hiking through a swamp and there'd be walkways made by 2x4s that were, I mean, fairly narrow. We had to go one by one, and there was moss growing up on trees, and one of the kids was like, it's like we're walking through Endor. And anyone who's not familiar, Endor is a planet in Star Wars that the Ewoks live on, and it's very swampy and lots of trees. And I'm just like, it does. It looks exactly like Endor, and it was beautiful. So I'm hoping to get back there and take the dog, because I know the dog would love it there, and get both boys there and go for a hike. It was about 3 miles, so not too long or too bad, and it was really enjoyable, and beautiful brooks. And when we were going, it was as the sun was starting to set and lower, and it was just beautiful. So we did that, and then this past Saturday, I went with one of my close friends, and we had sushi and drinks and had a mom's night out, and we went and saw Bad Moms 2, which was hysterical, and I enjoyed it. It wasn't as good as the first one, but it was a good pick-me-up funny movie, and needed it. It's been a couple long weeks, I think, with the holidays coming up and all of the pressure that the holidays bring. We needed a good night out with sushi and drinks and a funny movie. So that was about all I've done. And this weekend, a lot's going on. So we have Thanksgiving tomorrow. So we're gonna go to my husband's cousin's house for Thanksgiving dinner, and then we'll go to my mom's later on for some coffee and dessert. And then on the Friday after the Friday after Thanksgiving is Black Friday, and I do not partake of the sales and the shopping and going out and standing in line at the stores. The deals are good, but I do not have the patience in me to stand in line and to deal with the crowd. So typically our Black Friday consists of going to a local tree farm and getting our Christmas tree and getting that all set up. So I am looking forward to that. And then on Saturday, we are going to see the Nutcracker. I love the Nutcracker. It is my favorite thing to do during the holidays. I love the ballet. I don't get to go very often. My husband does not like the ballet, but he shocked me and he surprised me with tickets for the 4 of us. It'll be the first time my boys will be seeing any type of ballet. They've seen a couple plays and musicals, but never ballet. So I'm looking forward to seeing what they think, although they right now are a little bit less than thrilled at the thought of ballet. I think with boys, and the thought of dancing in ballet has that negative connotation to it, so I'm really hoping that they see how wonderful it is, especially to see it live and in person. So I'm really looking forward to that. And that is about it. And then I took Monday off, so I'm gonna have a nice long weekend, and I think Sunday and Monday I am just gonna relax and knit and maybe binge watch Hallmark Christmas movies. And I think that's the plan. I hope all of you have a wonderful Thanksgiving and a wonderful 2 weeks ahead, and I'll see you in 2 weeks. Bye.